Deathcember panel with composer Andrew Scott Bell and filmmakers Vivienne Vaughn and Sam Wineman. Yay! It's nice to see you all. So Andrew, not only did you score the music for both Vivienne and Sam's segments, but you also did the Deathcember suite, which we see on our screens here.
And then
how did you get involved with this project? Sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having us, and thanks for moderating this wonderful night of Christmas music and horror. And I first got involved with Deathcember through Sam, actually, because he and I had worked together on a couple of Christmas songs, and one of them was not only a song but a whole album. That Sam, I think you can jump in here, and we raised money for AIDS Life Cycle, right? How much did we raise with that album?
A few $1,000s. I can't remember exactly how much because we've done it every year since. So the numbers just keep getting bigger every year.
Right.
People are awesome. So yeah, we made some really kick-ass Christmas music. So obviously Andy was like exactly who I'm going to use to make Christmas music for my horror movie.
Yeah. And then I think Sam was in a meeting maybe with some of the other LA directors, and he said we should probably share a crew or something. And I think Vivienne was like, I need a composer. Yeah.
I told them, I shared the music we made with them. I was like, if you want to see what this guy can do, Christmassy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that part. That's new to me.
Because you're so talented.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Sam's my cheerleader. I love him. So yeah, I think, and then Vivienne brought me on to score her short, which was a super wonderful experience. And then when Ivo and Dominic heard my music for both of their shorts, they reached out and asked if I was interested in writing the music for the whole feature, and I said yes. You know, not the whole feature, because of course it's 24 short films, but for the opening titles and the closing titles, and then the wraparound between each segment.
Great, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah,
all right, I need to check out your guys' annual Christmas albums, and we need to like link to that or something.
It's on Spotify. Sam,
is it okay? What's it called?
I mean, if you just look up Sam Wineman on Spotify, you'll see it. That album was right in front of my Christmas, but we've had a bunch of stuff since then. Maybe don't listen to it with your mom. Kind of music. I mean, some of it's
there's some tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think like as long as you don't listen to the album with your mom, all of the singles I think are pretty safe. Maybe,
okay,
right?
I say that, but like my mom totally listens to all of it, even like Hot Christmas. So
I'm only allowed to listen to Spotify with my mom, so I guess we'll see how parental controls on my Spotify. So Vivienne and Sam, how did you each get involved with the project?
Do you want to go first, Sam?
No, you first.
Okay. We might have like somewhat similar stories here, but our fabulous friend Chelsea Stardust, who is an amazing horror director, obviously did Satanic Panic with Fangoria and All That We Destroy for Hulu last year. She was originally attached to Deathcember, and they were looking to bring on other directors, and so she basically recommended us, and it was so nice of her to do that, and I'm so grateful that she did, because it was just an amazing experience. But she unfortunately, because she literally did 2 features at the same time pretty much, had to leave Deathcember, but that is how I ended up getting brought on board originally.
Okay.
Same. But I met Chelsea because Chelsea and I have been friends for a while, but right before Deathcember, I assisted her on Satanic Panic, and I shot second unit. And while she had kind of connected me with Deathcember a little bit before that. And then while we were there on set, that's when I was pitching, like sending emails, trying to figure out what my story was going to be. So.
Nice. Okay. I really like how it kind of like you guys have the common thread of like, well, Chelsea brought us in, and then Sam, you've worked with Andrew, and then you recommended him to Vivienne, and then they were like, hey, just do the music for the whole wraparound thing. Like, I like this like threading throughout. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're like a little friend family.
Yeah, we have a nice, weird little community now. It's great.
Nice, weird little community.
The Deathcember, some of the LA Deathcember directors, we all kind of like a family. Like we had a screening for our LA films, and then
like the local premiere.
Yeah, it was really nice. We got a giant pizza that I couldn't fit in my door, so I had to like tilt it sideways to get it in. Sent the leftovers home with Sam.
Pizza gymnastics. All right. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about what the collaboration process was like?
Yeah. In what way? Are you asking about the Deathcember like main titles, or are you asking about like each short, or when I worked with the director?
Both, because I imagine it was different in actually in all three instances. So collaborating with Sam, you guys have worked together before, and then with Vivienne, and also doing the wraparound as well.
Yeah, well, in working with Sam, it was even totally different because when Sam and I had worked together in the past, it was on like pop music and Christmas album, and it was a totally different experience than scoring a film. So I'm really glad I got the opportunity to work with Sam on his short.
I was very difficult. I had a lot of demands.
No, not even at all.
Andy, you know, put up with it, and now we have this.
No, I mean, it was, you know, whenever I work with a director, I try not to talk about music. I try to talk about emotions and intent, but that was really hard with Sam because Sam and I have this musical language already. So it really was a different experience working on a film with somebody that you collaborate with on music, because you can talk about music things without getting lost in the weeds of music, because you already have that language that you've established with each other. But I think Vivienne, probably it was more of a traditional, like, since I was working the first time with Vivienne on her short, it was more like, let's talk about the intent, let's talk about the emotion. You know, I think we talked about making a horror version of the Downton Abbey score.
Yeah, that was our big reference.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Huge fan, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. I would like to think that I gave Andrew, you know, a lot of creative freedom. My tactic is to like surround myself with people more talented than I am, and then like let them do their thing. So yeah.
I love that. Was that your Downton Abbey reference? Like
who could it be? I think it was actually Andrew. He because I'm like I mean I am a huge fan of period dramas, like outside of horror. That's like my go-to. And I feel like when I direct, I kind of want to like, even if it's not specifically in a certain time period, I kind of want to like have the essence of like, maybe this was in the past, which I tried to do with my Deathcember short. And I think Andrew just like really got that. And he was like, how do you feel about the Downton Abbey theme? And I was like, oh my God, yes. We just kind of like ran with that, so.
Yeah, I tried to do that with horror music because I don't have a very strong horror background, like a lot of composers who work in horror who, you know, I didn't really watch a lot of horror growing up. I kind of came to the genre later in life. So a lot of my references are non-genre references. So I like for Sam's, for example, we talked a lot more about Home Alone than any other film. And definitely we barely talked about any horror scores, I think.
That was on purpose though, because I didn't want to just make like creepy Christmas music.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, because our kid Q, who plays that actor, he's the most talented actor I've ever worked with, and he's like 8. But he was like legit crying on set, and I wanted to try and capture the emotion of kind of like a family movie, you know, and really let the horror be the thing that we dread. So by doing that, Andy filled like every inch of the movie with music. Like you can hear it all the way through. Yeah. Just like in those old school 90s Christmas movies.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did cry on set. I have this clip raised up. I have this clip ready to go if you want, if I can share it.
Raise it up.
What a wonderful, talented actor.
He was great. And it's interesting that you said you guys didn't talk about horror scores at all, because I feel like you're doing holiday horror. So you can go very far in the horror direction or very far in the holiday direction. But I feel like you did this really cool blend and neither overpowered the other. And it was just like the phrase that kept coming to mind was kind of like a whimsically ominous. Like it was very playful when it needed to be. But then there was like this underlying darkness too when it needed to go. And it kind of felt like when you were going about for Milk and Cookies, it kind of felt like you were like creating a theme for Jack and doing variations of that. Did you approach it as far as like a theme for the character, or were you thinking more of just like the scene as a whole?
I think you mean the theme. Are you talking about this theme?
Yes.
Yeah, that is Jack's theme, but it's more specifically like his Dear Santa theme. Whenever he's writing and kind of making a wish almost, it's this like whimsical Santa theme. Jack's theme is a little like just for him in his room is a little bit different. For this, I'll play the orchestral suite because I know where it is in that. Jack's theme is a little bit different. It's playing in his room.
That feels
But yeah,
very
we
magically Christmas to me. Like it feels like this whimsical, magical, like.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we accomplished that by I kind of the bounciness of the woodwinds feels very Christmassy, especially that's very Nutcracker Suite Tchaikovsky.
Yes.
So yeah, it feels very Christmassy. So thanks for picking up on that. But yeah, I think in Milk and Cookies, we did very much like a Home Alone, John Williams-y theme for everybody. Every little thing had a little theme, and that was intentional. Sam had this really great idea that he wanted it to feel like a family Christmas movie, so music throughout, so that when the music drops out, it becomes very empty, and you can just sense that something terrible is going to happen because there's no longer that music holding your hand.
And then also I was wondering, because I'm musical speak is not in my forte, so forgive me for that. But yeah, okay. There's again, it just feels very Christmassy, and certain sounds I think I associate with Christmas music, Christmas sounds. So were there certain instruments you knew, like, okay, I'm definitely using this, and this because those are like Christmassy sounding instruments?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely used some sleigh bells in both of these scores. In fact, we used them in a very menacing way in both scores, which is a lot of fun. Let me try to find that. Menacing sleigh bells.
So good. Oh, I love it.
There's also a part in Vivienne's film, if I can switch over to Vivienne's film here, where I'll play the whole thing. But we did this, I think you might remember, in the studio, because you were like, what are the sounds? Vivienne asked me, what are the sounds you're using to make this unique sound that I'm hearing? And I soloed this, and we just had a good laugh. It's just the sleigh bell, the sleigh bell jump scare, Barbara.
Andrew also let me play this. What is that large instrument you have in your studio that I can't remember the name of with strings?
Oh, I almost brought it. I almost wheeled it in, but it's the insides of an upright piano that no longer have the keys or the hammers. So it's just the harp of the piano. So it's just the strings and then the metal that's holding the strings together. And I have it on its side so that I have it on like casting wheels, so I can wheel it in and out of my studio because it takes up a lot of space. I almost brought it in because it's on both of your films. But yeah, that's in its own stem. So let me find that.
This was an
Yeah.
amazing jump scare, by the way.
Thank you so much.
And the music is it's like Christmas horror, and then it just gets like so erratic on that jump scare, and then it just, was this practical effects?
Yes.
On the makeup?
Yeah. The makeup artists, they just did like an absolutely incredible job. I was so obsessed with Barbara's demon look, and I just couldn't be happier with how that turned out. I'm like a huge, as I mentioned, obviously I love horror, so special effects makeup is like one of my other big loves, and I was so happy.
Yeah, that was really fun. That got me good. And she still looks like so stunning, done up like that, you know?
Like, wild. I'm like, oh my God, only Barbara Crampton could rock this. It's insane.
And of course, you're still gorgeous as a demon. Okay, all right.
I know.
It got me that time too. Like I was afraid, like watching this, I'm like, it's gonna happen, because I jump every time. I think
I was watching you, Sam.
I'm so embarrassed because but it is the best scare in Deathcember. Hands down.
Thank you so much.
Just the sleigh bells, just the sleigh bells got you, Sam? Just the sleigh bells?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, that's great. I think I found the stem you're looking for, Vivienne, if you want me to share it. I think this is Vivienne playing.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, no, hold on.
Nope, that wasn't it. That was something else.
That's you, right? That's you playing with your fingernails, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was so fun.
You played it for the actual track? The one that's in the movie? That's you? Okay.
Yeah, it was so fun. I'm not much of a musician, but all I had to do was just go like that. And it was great.
I mean, it was
I had
on
Sam
rhythm,
play on
though,
his
so.
too.
What did Sam play? The same harp from the piano?
Yeah, but I think you played it with a knife. Didn't you want to play it with a knife, Sam?
Hell yeah, I did. Because he grabs the knife, you know, so I wanted to.
So fitting.
Oh.
Andy, it's where because I wanted to because they use that sound in Black Christmas, which is my favorite.
Oh,
Christmas.
it's right
Well, it's my favorite movie, like hands down all time. So when he comes out of the crawl space, which is a very Black Christmas moment, there's just a hint there.
Here it is, right here. Isn't it? Oh, no, wait.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was Sam with the knife.
That was Sam with the knife, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Very neat.
So did you guys get
So I don't know if
on this?
Right. Don't tell the union.
About any of this movie.
Right.
And Vivienne's out.
The screen just goes to black. Oh man.
I don't know if I answered your question, but I enjoyed the route we took.
No, this is great. I love this. And I love that you like had the foresight to do this, especially because we're talking about music. So just like talking about the scenes, it's a lot more fun to actually watch them and hear your work and see your beautiful visuals to go with it.
Yeah, thank you.
So the title. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that working with each director is a totally different experience. Working with the two of these was a different experience, and then any other director that I work with, it's like a new job every time, because you have to find the different ways in which that person communicates what he or she or they want for their movie. So that's part of what I love about it, is finding how to talk about music and film with Vivienne is totally different than talking about music and film with Sam. So, yeah.
No, that's great. I love it. That was not rambling, by the way. Not even close.
Thanks.
So the title for the Deathcember, like the theme that weaves throughout, you did that with the full orchestra. Do you typically work with full orchestra?
No, because not often in this indie film world is there a budget to work with full orchestra. There was in this case for the wraparound and the titles and closing titles, because it was a very small amount of music. I mean, I think all told, opening and closing credits was like 10 minutes, of music, and some of the wraparound was only about 10 minutes of music that we needed to record. So we actually worked with an orchestra in Budapest that does what's called shared sessions. And the way that that works is they have the orchestra for the whole day, but I don't have to have them for the whole day just for our film. We only had them for an hour of that whole day. So, and then a bunch of other films like had them for an hour or an hour and a half or a half an hour or whatever. And you can do about 5 minutes of music with them per a half hour. So that was really a unique experience because I'm sitting like I am now listening, and my orchestrator, Oscar Senin, we're sitting on a Zoom call kind of like this and giving notes and then listening again and saying, can we do it again? But the French horns, you know, not as legato, maybe tongue the notes a little bit, you know, and then they play it again. And yeah, I mean, I certainly want to work with orchestras more, but the budget doesn't always allow.
I think these are, side note, sorry, these are the first time I've seen these pictures from the orchestra, and it's so cool. I don't know how I haven't seen them before, but anyway, I'm glad you included them, Andrew.
Oh yeah, that's actually a video. So so what I can do now and answer that question is I can compare, since it's the Deathcember suite, so this is the closing credits. It's got music from Vivienne's short, and it's got music from Sam's short. So we can actually play clips of each and see how it sounds slightly different because of the number of musicians. Like for Vivienne's, we hired a cellist and an oboist, and it sounds really wonderful, but I can show you the difference in the sound between, you know, the sounds on my computer plus a few solo musicians and then 88 people in an orchestra. So here's the same passage here. Oh wait, apologies, it's here. That passage with the full orchestra. And you can just immediately feel you have to make weird faces.
It's really quite beautiful. And then to hear the comparison side by side, it's beautiful as is in the segment. And then to hear it back to back and just like the fullness of it and the richness of it is really cool.
No, thank you. Yeah, I was very pleased that Dominic and Ivo had the foresight to, when I pitched them the idea of spending extra money, they said yes.
Nice. That must have been cool for you to see and hear your piece coming to life. Like as you're sitting on Zoom and across the world, this orchestra is creating this. Do you just send them sheet music and then it just is just like coming to life as you're directing them?
Yeah, you send them. What we do is we send them sheet music. My really wonderful orchestrator took all of the music that I sent him and then made it look very beautiful and pretty so that they could read it. With the limited amount of time you have, you often have to get other people to do jobs that would take you twice as long. You can work simultaneously. So he's really wonderful. Oscar is phenomenal. So he and I were on the call while they were playing, and we just, you know, gave notes, and then basically they send you this like massive amount of files from their recording session, and then I took that and worked on it with my scoring mixer, Phil McGowan, who's also amazing. Like Vivienne said earlier, you try to hire people who are more talented than you to fill the gaps and then create something really beautiful together.
Nice. So I imagine for an anthology, the process is a bit different. Like you talked about your collaboration with Sam and then collaborating with Vivienne. When you went in to create the theme for the wraparounds, did you know any of the other stories going in, or how did you just talk again just about the emotion and the feeling of it, or how did you approach that?
Yeah, that I didn't know any of the other shorts. I don't know. I think I only found out. I only got to see the other shorts when I was starting to do more of the wraparounds, and that's why um, some of the wraparounds are with a full orchestra, and some of them are like just the piano, or like I did a couple synthesizer ones that sound more like the '80s, for example. I did a one with the guitar, um, and that was because I had finally gotten to see some of the other shorts, and I was like, well, there's like a Western one and a Spanish guitar. There's one of the shorts has this really lovely Spanish guitar soundtrack, so I thought, oh, I should play the Deathcember theme on the guitar. Um, but when I was writing the theme itself, that just came from a conversation that I had with Dominic and Ivo, and it came from just kind of an instinct and a feeling. I mean, they described what they were looking for and how they described the opening sequence that you're floating over the trees, and then you see a cemetery, and you start to float towards the cemetery, and then you burst through the doors. And when they told me that, the bursting through the gates of the cemetery, I just knew exactly what it. I could sense what it sounded like. This rum dum 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 dum. But then, you just kind of let it marinate a couple of days and try not to sit at your piano as much as possible, so that when you do sit at your piano, you can. I don't know how to explain it other than letting it marinate, so that when you sit down, you have all this stuff to reach for. But the idea came to me, and I'm pointing over here because my dog's over here. The idea kind of hit me when I was walking my dog, and I think it was just the pace that I was walking. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Yeah, so I have this really awkward voice recording on my phone that's me going ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, kind of out of breath in my phone that nobody will ever hear, but it's there.
Wow, and you opted for the orchestra over that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they chose orchestra over my out of breath singing.
Acapella version.
Right.
Vivienne, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was demanding that Andy play that sound bite now of him breathless. But it was just a joke. Don't worry.
It's pretty similar. I'll find it if you want me to. It's on SoundCloud. It might take a while. This is silly.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to hear that.
Of it just now give us the gist.
Yeah, I would say that's a solid performance. I enjoyed that. So when you begin scoring, do you ever read the script and then start, or do you just start by talking to the directors and talking about kind of just what it's going to look like, what the intention of the feeling and the emotion is?
Me personally, I'm not as well. I don't do as well with a script because I'm more of a visual person, but I'm also I rely a lot on communication and how I talk how the conversation is going with the director. An example of, so I'm often very visual. So sometimes like looking at stills from set will help me. Having a scene described to me, I can imagine it. That will help me. And that was the case with Sam. And I don't mean to talk about another movie, but he and I are going to work together on his wonderful untitled queer horror documentary that is in production. And just as an aside, while we were talking about the music, he described one of the scenes in the documentary. And I actually, what did I do, Sam? We were in Starbucks pre-COVID, and I ran outside to do the same thing with my phone. So yeah, I don't always know what triggers it, but something something that somebody says, or like a visual, or as is the case with like a scene, if I'm scoring a scene, sometimes like the way that somebody's walking will kind of inspire something. A good example of this is in Vivienne's short, beautiful short. Barbara Crampton basically. So her performance really kind of helped me find the rhythm in the scene. The wonderful performance by Barbara, and then the editing and the pacing. Those two things, you know, combined with Vivienne's direction, like helped me know exactly what the music was going to be.
Shout out to Dave, the editor, who did a killer job.
Nice. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Like everything about this. Both of your pieces were just like the coloring and the editing and everything was just, they're just beautifully shot and beautifully done.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Also, Vivienne, you mentioned your love for period pieces and how kind of you like to do things where it's kind of ambiguous. And this 100% that when I first watched this, it's like ambiguous as far as time. It could be period piece. It could very well be contemporary, and you kind of don't really know. And that lends itself, I think, to kind of the eeriness of it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I was going for. I don't know, I guess just because of like the horror movies I loved in my youth, but I just want to like emulate that. And yeah, I'm glad you thought that I achieved it. Thank you.
Effective. And also that's a story that can work regardless of time. Like the concept of yours, without giving anything away, is something that would work 100 years ago and work equally as well today.
Yeah, it's kind of like an age-old tale, I think, you know?
Just like Beauty and the Beast, tales old as time, right?
Exactly. Disney fan too. Sorry, just going over. Andrew, did you have any other clips that you wanted to share with us? Like, I know you specifically pulled certain things.
I pulled the whole movie so that as I pulled both shorts so that as we talk, something comes up, I have it here.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we have all the stems from each of their shorts, and yeah. Let me see Sam, what should we share from, is there something you want to talk about from Milk and Cookies? Is there a scene that you...
How much do we have in the jump scare part? Because it is interesting. You talked about there being music underneath all of it, so it might be cool to hear the lead into where it goes out or something.
Yeah, we have the whole thing. So where would you like, maybe we'll start from here and play the lead in, or...
Yeah, do that.
Can you see the screen? Okay.
So we filmed it with, so Bitch Puddin' is an incredible, talented drag artist who is the winner of season 2 of Dragula and also plays our killer. And we actually but we put Bitch in the room. So the entire time, if you look into the dark, they're actually there until the light comes on in all the shots. So it's pretty cool. But the second that you can see Bitch, we have just a little bit of strings. And then right after that is the jump scare. So Andy comes in just to show it's like that they're present. It's pretty cool.
So can you still see the screen for the film?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It turns on. And that's just my violin. It sounds kind of squeaky, but you can barely just hear it when it's all together.
It's so tiny. You to be looking for something, you know, and that way we can kind of like cut into that other one and create the jump scare.
Even knowing that's what's coming, and I've watched this a few times, like I'm sitting here watching it and I'm just like, like I just feel so anxious, like as the music drops out and I start to just feel like very uncomfortable, and then the strings get very erratic and I'm like, fuck, like.
Thank you very much for complimenting our scene. That's what you want to hear.
Y'all are making me very uncomfortable. Yes.
And I think it's so great about that is that Sam knows exactly how he wants music to affect his scare. And Vivienne was the same way in an almost like opposite way. She didn't, where Sam is like, I want everybody to know they're about to be scared. Vivienne was like, I don't want anyone to know they're about to be scared. So what we did for Vivienne's was the exact opposite. We have this like beautiful piece of music that ends, and the scare comes right before you think the music has finished. It's like bringing you into the dialogue. You know, like the last note plays and you think it's gonna finish, but it doesn't finish.
Well, it becomes almost like very tender at that moment too. You're like, okay, I see what's happening here, and then the music is very tender, and and then all of a sudden, just like bam, and I was like, holy shit!
Bam. Yeah, it's two very different scares. That
Yes.
and both directors, I loved the experience of working on both of these films because both of you had such a command of what you wanted the music to achieve in the scenes that we're just talking about, and all of the shorts, you know, but all of each of your shorts, but these scenes specifically, you knew exactly what you wanted the music to achieve, which is great. I love getting that amount of direction because then I know I like have my little book that tells me where I'm going, my roadmap.
Little book.
Little book.
My little book. That's the clip.
Yeah,
I have
you're
my
so
little
wholesome.
book. Hold on, look.
My little book that I sometimes like to call a
little-
roadmap.
I have my little book.
That's what I'm referring to maps as from now on, just my little book.
My little book.
Yeah. And then just unfurl a gigantic like roadmap.
So good.
So Andrew, you said you haven't done a lot of horror. Does this make you want to do more horror scores?
Yeah, I love working in horror. There's such a it's such a wonderful sandbox to play in. There's something unique to the genre films that I think, like, you know, I love comedy and drama as well, and action and those, but in genre films, you know, and horror specifically, there's something that allows the music to be more present. And I think that there's just like I don't know if it's like a tradition that music is more present, or it's just, I just feel more part of the storytelling process in a way that, like, it's so rare for me to be sitting in a dub session and have the director say, like, turn up the music here. You know, usually it's like, oh, I can't hear the dialogue or something, which is obviously important. But in a horror movie, I just feel like I have my moments to come as the composer where I get to be like, here we are. Here's the score. So I really enjoy it. I definitely want to do more. I've been doing a lot more horror movies the past couple of years. The first one I did was in 2017, is on Alter, and it's called Foxwood. And then the very next one I did is also on Alter. It's called The Vicious. And then I think one of those ones is the one that got Sam's attention, I think. Was it Foxwood, Sam?
Yeah, I heard the music in Foxwood and I was like, okay, I got to work with you. I really liked it because I feel like there's kind of an abundance since 80s nostalgia is something that's such a thing in horror right now. It's something that I heard Andy's take on, what, like, kind of like a synth score, and I was like, oh, that's different. This my favorite part, and I really enjoyed that short, but my favorite part of that short was the music, and I told you that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, because and I told everybody that because I love it so much. But because music can make or break your horror movie. I mean, truly, it's so essential. Sound and music. I mean, any film, right? Music is something that we don't think about how it plays into it, especially because it's so easy to pull a track that's like some pop song, or, you know, and to make you feel something. But when you have a composer who is actually taking that moment and expressing that emotion in their storytelling, you have layer upon layer, and it's about guiding the audience through whatever they're doing. It's such a powerful tool if you have the right people, and yeah, I think we do.
And Andrew is the right people.
Oh,
I think Andrew and his little book.
Andrew's
my little book.
yes.
I think Sam should do all my interviews. Are you free tomorrow, Sam?
No.
Sam just got hired as PR. Also, now we know the source of your power comes from the little book. So guard it carefully.
That's my book.
Oh my God, I love this. The little book is the gift that keeps on giving.
There's going to be like the little book sweatshirts and stuff. It's going to be a whole thing.
I would be honored. I would be honored to have this on a sweatshirt.
But it's actually, I'm just going to screenshot that of you with that precious pose.
Oh,
with
my
the book
face?
as the
Oh.
yeah. That's got to be in there.
I set myself up for that one.
Yeah. So was your approach to this any different than you do with non-horror, non-anthologies?
No, I don't think so, because for me the basis of everything we do in film is to tell the story. It's just you're telling a different story. And in fact, I think in horror films, like, we can, as storytellers, often get distracted by, is it scary? Or we're going to scare people. Oh, it's creepy. Oh, it's gory. But the nugget that's in both of these stories, Vivienne's story and Sam's story, is about family. It's about, the loved ones that you hold dear. There's more than just the scares to any real, true, great horror film. So once you strip away the scares and the guts and the gore, the essence of the story should be the same, whether it's a drama, an action, or a comedy. It should be about, I don't know, the fundamental themes that all storytelling is about. And then, so once you find that nugget, you can really just then add the scary stuff back on top, if that makes sense.
Can I add one thing? Because I don't think you would say, or maybe I remember there is one thing different that you did. You anticipated what other composers would do. We had a conversation where you were like, well, this is what would be easy, and let's not do that. Like, we talked through different options as to what we could do. And because it's an anthology with, 24, but actually 26 or 27 movies, that we wanted ours to have its own life, its own personality. And so we walked through those options, and and Andy's so smart. He knows exactly. And because I'm telling you, once I saw the movie, I was like, it's exactly what he said. So yeah, and I think that's why his score for my and Vivienne's films, I think it stands out. And I think that's why the wraparound it's so crucial that you are the composer for it. And that, because all of it, it just, it stands out from the rest in a good way.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Are you sure you're not free tomorrow? I could really use you.
That was an interesting insight, because I feel like that's probably not something that he would say. The fact that he was like, let's think about what another composer would probably do here, and let's not do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. But thanks for saying it. But thank you for saying it. No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Sam's on every interview with you from now on for sure then.
And he's too nice. He's too humble. Somebody's got to say the truth.
I don't have any more specific questions for you guys. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about from the collaborations and working together? Any other musical pieces specifically?
I should probably make sure that I play the Deathcember theme. Like, we've talked a lot about these two shorts, so I should probably make sure I play at least the beginning here before Vivienne's score starts in this suite. And I should also mention that I think this Friday, but it's always weird around the holidays and December specifically with music distribution, because so many people are trying to get Christmas music out. Sam knows this very well. So I think it's this Friday, but just follow the social medias, like Deathcember social media and mine, because this suite, the Deathcember suite, and the trailer music that people seem to really love online, will be released on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music and Amazon Music, all of the major places, YouTube Music. So if you really dig what you're about to listen to, it's coming out soon.
Awesome. I really love that. Like I genuinely, when I listened to this and I was like, that is freaking beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Very fun. Very fun to hear those French horns playing that music. It was really great.
And I didn't know it was French horns that I was hearing until I saw the video and I was like, ah, that's what those are. I like those.
Nice. Yeah, we actually had the brass, most of the brass play on a totally separate day. So this day we had, if I go to the wide shot, let me try to find a wide. There we go. This day we had just all the strings in the main section there, and then there are these glass kind of dividers that divide the sound. Oh, there's a better picture. That's where the, if you can see, can you see my mouse when I do this?
Yes.
That's where the trumpets and
Yes.
the trombones and stuff would normally be, but they weren't there that day. We only had the strings and the woodwinds. Here are the woodwinds behind a glass partition. And we had the French horns behind a glass partition, divided also from the woodwinds. And then we had the brass on a separate day so that we could really like isolate that sound so that it wasn't like too much trumpet, you know, coming blasting over, being recorded into everyone else's microphones. So yeah, it was a neat experience listening to them record this music without the trumpets and trombones and tubas, but then also going and then listening to working with the trumpets, trombones, and tubas the very next day without the rest of this, you know, listening to just their parts. That was a neat experience for me that I had not yet had. Usually you're just piecing all the pieces together at the same time, but it was cool.
So on that second day, when you're listening to just the trumpets, are you also listening to like a playback track of what you heard the first day, or you're just listening to just the trumpets throughout?
I think we definitely have like the playback track that I provided, which is all the sounds from my computer. I can't remember if the second day, I think they may have had like some recordings, but essentially like when you record this music, they didn't do it. The video, I edited the video to make it look like it's all being played in one take, but actually it's like, you know, 10 different takes. You know, you do a bunch of sections of the song separately and then piece them all together. So I don't think they had made, when we recorded the trumpets and the brass, the rest of the brass the next day, I don't think we had any of the live recordings. It was just the stuff from my computer. And some of those things are still in the track itself. Like this. Really goofy sounding. On its own, it sounds a little goofy, but it's the timpani. And we had the sleigh bells too. We had some harp in there. So yeah, we had a lot of different stuff that was coming through that I could hear along with what the orchestra was playing.
That was a very menacing sleigh bell, Andy.
That sleigh bell is
yeah.
That sleigh bell's my music editor, Nick. He did a great job. We just tracked it real quick. I was like, oh my God, do you have sleigh bells? Because he's a percussionist. And he was like, yeah, because I have the computer ones that you and I have used on some of the music in the past. But Nick was able to just quickly record. I was like, can you do sleigh bells? And he's like, nah, it's too hard. And I was like, really? And he's like, I'm joking with you because it's just.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, is it difficult to record the sleigh bells? But okay.
No, he was joshing
the
me.
difficult part is making them menacing. That's
those are cheerful sleigh bells. We asked for menacing sleigh bells. All right, tell us where we can find Deathcember if we haven't already seen it, or if we would like to watch it again.
Deathcember is available for streaming on all of I think iTunes, Amazon, all of the major platforms where you would stream a video on demand. I think now as of December 1st, it's also available on cable video on demand. So you can get it through your cable provider on there. Vivienne's short, Vivienne's short is available where, Vivienne?
It is on the Crypt YouTube channel. So if you just go to YouTube and search for A Christmas Miracle Crypt, it should pop up.
All right. Okay. And Sam, is there somewhere that we should specifically look for your short, or just go get Deathcember?
Hang in there for number 16. And that is where you can find my short. Just buried in that sweet middle spot.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys both had it in, so 14th and 16th, was that
14
right?
and 16. I love that we're kind of together though. That makes
Yeah.
Me
sense.
too. It's appropriate.
Yeah, as I was watching, I was like, hey, and then I was like, oh, hey, okay, you guys are kind of like, oh, side to back. Like, Santa,
They have their
I
own-
know him.
They have their own wraparound music too, I think, right? We did like a Milk and Cookies outro and a Christmas
Yeah.
Miracle outro.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, I feel like a horrible host. I brought cookies for you all for,
Oh,
here you go. So
cheating.
the thought was
Where's
there.
The milk. Is the-
Yes, thank you
I'm
for
being
the thought.
gross and I have water and cookies. I'm sorry.
Butter and cookies.
I bought eggnog and I was like, I don't know if I should be chugging eggnog on a Zoom call.
Was it alcoholic or non-alcoholic? Because that's a
Alcoholic
real
would be a good idea. It was non-alcoholic. So I was like, that's a terrible idea. Why would I?
Just
So we were
drinking
getting bummed
right.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Is there any upcoming projects that you guys want to talk about before we go? No?
I
Bueller?
don't have anything like tangible enough because, you know, like everything in COVID/quarantine, it's just kind of unraveled.
Yes.
So, you know, just waiting it out to see what happens. So I don't want to say anything because I, you know, I don't want to jinx it. Just like knock on wood, something happens.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
It's kind of like, what is time? Like we're all kind of in that right
Yes,
now, so,
100%.
yeah. All right,
And
so make
I'm
sure.
working on a documentary that nobody can see for a little while. And me and Andy are making some more Christmas music that inevitably will be released
Yay.
whenever the computers allow us to put it on streaming services. So probably 2021.
But you have your existing albums that we can listen to now, right?
Yeah, go
Okay.
find them on Spotify and stuff.
All right, Spotify.
It's
Check out
super gay.
Deathcember. I am here for it then. Okay, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Fangoria
Thank you
for
for having
having us.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
Yes. And everyone, make sure go subscribe to Fangoria. It makes a good Christmas present. They also have a lot of cool merch. I'm an extra small, just throwing that out there. Okay. All right. So happy holidays to you guys. It was wonderful to chat with you. And thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much. It
you.
was
Bye-bye.
a true joy.
All right. Bye, guys.